Okay, so I go fast. Today's topic of my lecture is agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship. As we all know, the India is a agrarian country. Our economy is dependent on the agriculture. So in India, there are many types of entrepreneurship. There are many types of enterprises are available. But the most and foremost important business is agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship. So in this my topic, I will covering the introduction, concept of entrepreneurship, and rural versus urban conditions, and rural advantage means what are advantages are available if we set a small industry or small processing plant in rural areas. I will also discussing about basic training for prospective rural entrepreneurs, then benefits of rural enterprises to the nation, what benefits may be available for this country, then what government strategies are available in our 5-year plans, then what factors are responsible for limited growth of this agriculture-based rural entrepreneur, then how to move forward, and what type of ownership are available in our this agriculture entrepreneur sector. Then I will also covering this from where a business idea may be gathered, and from where this all type of information a person may be collect for this agriculture entrepreneurship. Then what is the importance of project report and how project report is useful in agriculture then sources of finance means from where we can approach for the funding of this business, then legal requirements, then marketing issues, and most important training and skill development or human resource development centers. Then what are the basic infrastructure, then opportunities for rural entrepreneurs, then what rural technologies are available within India, then Pura and rural enterprises, how we can proceed for way ahead, and last one will be the conclusion. As I have already discussed in about this my talk, agriculture is already a risk gaining or risk affecting enterprise, as the farming activity is itself an example of entrepreneurship. Why? As it has all elements of an enterprise like land, labor, process, technology, inputs, finance, risk, marketing, and many more. So our farmers invest money, labor, input to get the final output that is known as harvest, produce, or other things. The income level of farmers or rural people is much lower than the urban people. This is a basic hindrance or basic cause. That's why our farmers are not able to stand to opt this agriculture farming as a business. So sometimes it is said that risk capacity of rural pupils is lower than the urban pupil, which is not correct. As I am saying, farmers are illiterate or less educated. There are less facilities in that rural areas, and they don't have much funds or money to start any enterprise. That's why they are lacking behind, and they are not ready to accept any proposal as a entrepreneur. As we all know, the agriculture itself is a high risk and low return activity, and farmers are taking risk year by year to increase the agriculture production. This is also a major cause. That's why the farmers are not going to be as an entrepreneur. The farmers can prove to be better entrepreneur if proper training is provided. This is a valid point. If if the facilities are providing to our farmers or rural youth, then they can be a better entrepreneur. So several advantages are there in rural areas, especially in respect of agro products, animal husbandry, poultry, fishery related enterprise, and they all are known as agriculture based enterprise or entrepreneurship. Since the farming is seasonal activity, the farmers can start and run small and micro enterprises. As we know, in our country, in different parts, the farming is a seasonal activity. Means if we divide in season, then we found Rabi, Kharif, Jayad. So in many places, there are the farming activities are not continuing round the year. That's why the farmers can start and run small micro enterprises that is based on the seasonal agriculture produce. In the present scenario, the rural areas are source of raw material and urban areas are acting as processing centers. At present, what's happening in our country, the whole raw materials are coming from the rural areas, and in urban areas, that raw material procured from that place and processed at the processing centers. Those are established in the urban areas or cities. This prosperity will not come to rural areas unless the value addition takes place at the rural area itself. Means if we are continuing this process, means the raw materials purchasing from the rural areas and the processing centers or industry are continuing in the urban areas or cities, then the prosperity will not come to the rural areas. Absence of entrepreneurship in rural areas is main cause of poverty in rural India. I can say the farmers are at loss whether it is bumper crop or famine. The farmers are even if the farmers gain more production, then they are in loss if they if they calculate each and every penny of expense, then a farmer will always be in loss, because the farmers are not calculating each and everything, and they are only focusing the price, that money that they can fetch from the selling of their product. So they are in that condition, they are only seeing that final output, means the funds collected from the sale of their product. So in that condition, the farmers are not thinking about his or her loss, and they are thinking that they are in profit. But actual condition in India is most of the farmers are in loss. So establishment of micro and household industry in rural areas can break the cycle of poverty. This is a proven fact, and this will not only bring prosperity but also provide employment to youth and landless people in this rural areas. So by this words, I can say it is very important to establish agriculture-based rural industries or rural entrepreneurship in the rural areas. The energy of home and fall can be used for productive purpose with establishment of small and micro enterprises in the rural area. So this will result in saving the huge amount of energy in the form of transportation of bulky raw materials and manpower going to Delhi. Okay. Then what is the concept of entrepreneurship? As we know, entrepreneurship is the act of being an entrepreneur who start any economic activity for being self-employed. This is a clear-cut picture here given by this word, means any person who is involved in financial activities for being self-employed, that is known as entrepreneurship. And an entrepreneur is defined as person in effective control of commercial undertaking, one who undertakes a business or an enterprise known as entrepreneur. So entrepreneur is an innovative person who maximizes his profit by following new strategies or venturing into new products or services. So an entrepreneur should have two qualities become as a successful entrepreneur. The first one is motivation, and the second one is energetic. Third one is creative. Flexibility is the fourth one. Another one is analytical power. Then leadership, it is a very important quality for being a successful entrepreneurship. Vision, it is also an important thing. If a person is not visionary, then he will not be a good entrepreneur. The qualities already discussed are only indicative. In addition to those indicated, a rural entrepreneur should have additional quality. As I have just discussing about the quality of entrepreneur, but for a rural entrepreneurship, the person have these qualities. Like in a typical rural scenario, the person has to deal with problem of infrastructure. In rural areas, there is a lacking of good quality of infrastructure, so one should have a good deal with these problems of infrastructure. The second one may be socio-economic setup in rural areas is different, and the person of rural background will have advantage. It is also an important quality that one should have for being a successful entrepreneur. Similarly, knowledge of local language and customs is also necessary for any entrepreneur. If a person don't have the knowledge of local language, means a North Indian person, if he want to be a rural entrepreneur in South India or any other state from in that place, he don't know about the local language, then there may be a communication problem and he will not be a successful entrepreneur. A farmer owning and cultivating land in same village will be an ideal person to start a micro or medium enterprise. Means if a farmer itself want or convert in a entrepreneur, means he may start a micro or medium enterprise, then this is a very good sign for a successful entrepreneur. And taking advantage of forward and backward linkages is a key success for any rural entrepreneurs. Means one person who wants to be a successful agri entrepreneur, then he should be a good knowledge of backward and forward linkages. With the use of both type of linkages, he may be succeed with the this agriculture entrepreneur. Then what characteristics of rural entrepreneurs should have? That should be a risk-taking ability, self-confidence, decision-making ability, knowledge of growing technology, creativity, initiative, economic motivation, market orientation, ability of coordination related activities, achievement, and motivation. These all are the quality or characteristics for being a successful rural entrepreneurship. If someone have lacking with this any one of this quality, then that may be a failure in this field. Then what is rural entrepreneurship? Still we are discussing about entrepreneurship, agriculture based entrepreneurship, what is entrepreneur, and now we are discussing about rural entrepreneur. As we know, entrepreneurship emerging at village level, which can take place in a variety of fields of endeavor such as business, industry, agriculture, act as a potent factor for economic development. In simple words, I can say a person or entrepreneurship which is involved in the agriculture based businesses or enterprise or small scale industries for the development of economy that is known as rural entrepreneurship. And industries coming under the purview of KVIC are treated as rural industries. Khadi Village Industry Commission has already discussed these rural industries. So these are the rural industries coming under KVIC purview, like mineral-based industry, forest-based industry, agro-based and food-based industry, polymer and chemical-based industries, engineering and non-conventional energy-based industries, textile industries, and service industries are also included in this KVIC rural industries purview. These all types of industries are coming under this KVIC because KVIC has regrouped this all these types of industries as rural industries. Now, what types of rural entrepreneurship are available in our country? We can use, or one can use any of them, like individual entrepreneurship. Individual entrepreneurship means it is basically single ownership of the enterprise. If one person is starting any enterprise and he or she will be the single owner of that enterprise, this is known as individual entrepreneurship. Second one is group entrepreneurship, means partnership or private limited company and public limited company. These all types of enterprise falls under group entrepreneurship because there is a group that is using for this any type of industry or rural entrepreneurship. Third one is cluster formation enterprise. Entrepreneurship means non-government organizations, voluntary organizations, cluster-based organizations, self-help groups, and even networking of these groups all are come in this cluster formation enterprises. And cooperative entrepreneurship. It is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily for a common objective. These all types of rural entrepreneurship are functioning in our country, and many successful agricultural based entrepreneurs are doing their business with a good hope. Now, if we discuss about rural versus urban conditions, those are available within India, then one person, if he want to establish a small scale industry, then if he is confused, means if he from which place he should establish this type of industry, then we can analyze by this rural versus urban conditions or situations. In rural areas, means agriculture as a primary occupation. In urban areas, variety of occupations are available. In rural areas, generally underemployed people, means unemployed pupils are available. In urban areas, pupils having more than one employment. In rural areas, lack of infrastructure, low cost of labor and land, cheap local raw materials are available. In urban areas, overburdened infrastructure, high cost of labor and land, and costly raw materials are available. So one can decide at which place he or she should set up his industry. And I think there are a few more points. Yeah, there are a few more points. In rural areas, poor education and training facilities are there. In urban areas, better education and better training facilities are available. More prone to natural disaster in rural areas, and in urban areas less prone to natural disaster. Because in urban areas there are many types of facilities available, but if we are thinking about raw material and labor and many other things, then these all are available in a low cost level at these rural areas. In rural areas, difficult access to technology, high marketing cost, poorly organized system, and migration of talent to urban areas. This is the situation of rural India. And here, if we see about urban, then easy access to new technologies, because day to day new technologies are available, new technologies are coming, and all these technologies may be utilized or used by this urban people. Then here at urban area, high production cost and high organized systems are available, and overpopulation due to migration from this rural areas to the urban areas. So there are total facts by which one can decide at which place he or she should establish their industry or enterprise. Then if one should still confused or not able to decide, then there is another factor, that is rural advantages. Then this may convince him or her to establish at which place his industry. Then if one should want to establish here his or her rural enterprise, then there are few rural advantages like labor intensive, means food processing, herbal medicine assembly. These all are available in the rural areas. Then second one is space intensive, means rural areas are space intensive, means biomass based paper or pulp industry if you want to start, then easily available. Then livestock based, these all are also easily available. Then the rural areas are low capital, means small, tiny and cottage industries like handicrafts, etc. may be easily established with the use of low capital in the rural areas. Then industries without power. If he or she want to establish industry run without power, then he or she should opt this rural areas, because many industries like without power can be run, like vegetable dyes, terracotta. Terracotta is a earthen different type of special type of earthen pottery technique or method. Now next one is seasonal, like sugar, khansari production and many other types of seasonal crops are available in the rural areas. And so these rural areas are best suited for this seasonal industry. Service based, if one should start industry at rural areas, then service centers for agriculture implements, e-chopals and many other things are to be set up at this rural area. Then skill training based, skill development centers, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Agriculture Skill Council of India, small computer training centers, these all are in demand. So one should start this type of skill development center in the rural areas. So this will definitely helpful for the success of his or her business, and the product or outcome, those are came from trained human resource persons are available for this rural industry in the rural areas. There are many types of different rural industries are available, like all village industries comes under the following broad category. I have already discussed KVIC categorization, and there is a different type of categorization. This is also known as rural industries types. So first maybe agro-based industries, means sugar industry, jaggery industry, oil processing from oil seeds, pickle, fruit, juice, spices, dairy products, poultry, horticultural produce, flour, and many other things. Those are means agriculture produces come from these rural areas, and the industry based on this producers are known as agro-based industries. Then forest-based industries, as we know, from the forest we may collect wood products, bamboo products, honey, coir industry, making eating plates from leaves. So this type of industry known as forest-based industry, and one may start this type of agriculture-based enterprise. Third one, mineral-based industry, means stone crushing, cement industry, red oxide making, wall coating, powders, etc. So this is not come directly to this agriculture-based industry, but still this is also known as rural-based industry. Next one is textile industry, means spinning, weaving, coloring, blending, and khadi thread making, silk industry, okay, cotton industry. So these all are directly connected to this agriculture. Now next one is engineering and services, handicraft and other services. So these all types of rural industry, those are available in India. Now, what basic training for prospective rural entrepreneurs should be? It means a person don't require MBAs to run or start rural enterprises. A simple, less educated person can also be a successful agriculture-based rural entrepreneur. No need to be a MBA or BBA or any management degree. Now, some basic trainings is necessary for rural people to become prospective entrepreneurs. Means for handling the things, for smoothly running the operations, or smoothly selling their product to the market. So basic small training are necessary for a rural pupil become a prospective entrepreneur. Then motivation through success stories and actual visits to successful enterprise in that area is also an important factor. Then information related to government agencies and their role. So systematic way of identifying opportunity, it is also an important thing. Access to model projects or sources for preparation of project report. Means there are 4 or 5 points. If a person who is interested to become a rural entrepreneur, then these are few points. So he should be aware about that, and definitely he will be a successful rural entrepreneur. Means source of finance, he should know from where the funds may be available for his or her project. Then government programs or subsidies, he also should know about the subsidies or many other government schemes and programs. He must know, he must have knowledge of accounting, because the whole business is depend on accounting or calculation or doing some little or small analysis. For that, knowledge of accounting is also an important thing. Training in the area selected. There should be a selected area, and there should be a specified training for that selected area. Means a person who wants to be an entrepreneur in the field of dairy industry, and so he must have a training with this in the field of dairy industry. So in a dynamic environment, things are changing too fast, and latest information must be collected by the person. It is also important, a very important thing, because the latest, if he or she don't have latest information, then the person may be backward in his or her area. Then what benefits of agriculture-based rural enterprises to the nation? The trend of establishment of rural industries will reverse the migration to urban areas. In this COVID era, the whole country has seen very bad situation. Means the migrant laborers, they are start to moving from the urban areas or cities to their homes or villages. So this is very bad situation. If we use this agriculture-based rural enterprise, then it will be a reverse migration to the urban area. The ever-increasing slums in urban areas will be reduced when the pupils are not migrating from our or their rural areas. Then these slums are not developed in the urban areas or cities. The crumbling infrastructure of urban areas will get a repair. It is also a good thing. Means government has started Gramin Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan for these migrated pupils. So if the pupils are settled or staying in their rural areas, then the infrastructure will also be in a better condition. And government is already trying to improve these infrastructure at their rural areas. Next one is nation will save huge sum of money in form of fuel. Means when the migration of people from urban or rural to urban areas will stop, then a huge amount of money will save in different forms. Means fuel form, or in the form of traveling charges, and many other forms. Our country will save a huge amount of money. The reduced cost of production may result in higher exports and import substitution of small value goods. If the agriculture-based rural entrepreneurs will start in their rural areas, then export facility may be increased, because when the production will be available at the rural areas and in a good amount the products will be available, then we can export these products to the other countries. It will unlock potential of crores of unemployed pupils and increase the GDP. Definitely, when the employment will increase, and then the GDP will also increase. The use of non-conventional source of energy will be encouraged, as the vast potential for use of biogas, solar energy, wind energy, water energy exists in rural areas. Means these all types of non-conventional energies are available in our rural areas. So if this type of enterprises are set up in these rural areas, then this all types of energy or non-conventional source of energy or solar, wind or water energy will be used for this production purpose of in this industry. And the large amount of agriculture, horticulture and animal husbandry related produce going waste will be gainfully utilized. Means there are different types of agriculture or horticulture or animal husbandry, or different types of byproducts are available, or these wastes are available. These all types of byproducts or waste may be utilized with this industry. And last one may be public investment in rural infrastructure will give higher return, and it will encourage private investment. Now, what government strategies? Government has used these strategies for this agriculture-based rural development. As we know, Mahatma Gandhi was one of the prime supporter of khadi and village industries, even before industries. Means when industries are not common in our India, then Bapu was one of the prime supporter of khadi and village as an industry. Okay? So one of the basic philosophy was to keep the three needs of human being out of purview of mechanization to generate employment, that is food, shelter, clothes. So these three are the basic needs of any human. So That's why this KVIC has been set up. As we know, after independence, the development strategies were worked out in the form of 5-year plans. In our country, there are, I think, 12 5-year plans were available, and in each 5-year plan, there are separate emphasis given to this agriculture-based industry. So I will discussing one by one. In first 5-year plan, boards were created for development of 6 specific rural sectors like khadi, coir, silk, handicraft, handloom, and small industries. These 6 boards were created, and this will still continuing in our country. In second 5-year plan, role and activities of KVIC increased, and items reserved for small scale industries means technology resulting in unemployment were discouraged. In the second plan, KVIC will increase and the unemployment will discourage. And in third 5-year plan, cluster development, approach initiative, training and skill development projects were launched, and rural industries projects were also launched. Sorry. In fourth 5-year plan, emphasis on quality and financial viability of rural industries, provision of financial assistance to KVIC for various programs. In fifth 5-year plan, agriculture was given less importance as compared to industry. There are different types of activities going happen in different 5-year plans. So in sixth 5-year plans, programs named IRDP and TRISEM were launched to promote rural entrepreneurship. These programs introduced the concept of subsidy and its self-employment first time to the rural people. Before this sixth 5th-year plan, there are subsidy where subsidy is not existed in our Indian context. In seventh 5-year plan, the strategy of the plan was to enhance the level of earning of small enterprise by providing assistance in the form of technology, entrepreneurship, skill and finance. In this 5th-year plan, technology, entrepreneurship, skill and finance has been emphasized. And this NSIC and district industrial DIC, etc., were activated to provide extension services to small industries. These all types of different types of activities or training programs have been introduced in this 7th 5th-year plan. In 8th, the focus was shifted from rural and cottage industries. An era of reform started. The emphasis was to invest in infrastructure and catalyze the growth. Private investment welcomed in all sectors. Reserved items were removed from list one by one. So this happened in 8th 5th-year plan, and in 9th 5th-year plan, agenda of globalization was taken further, and separate ministry was created for small scale and agro industry, and marketing support of KVI products was planned. Means in this 9th 5th-year plan, there is a separate ministry has been created, and in 10th 5-year plan, cluster-based development was proposed with financial assistance from KVIC, NABARD, SIDBI, and CAPARD. So these 3 or 4 different type of agencies have been started. And in 11th 5-year plan, technology upgradation, skill development, and quality improvement with focus on employment generation. So in this 11th 5-year plan, employment generation was the main focus, and in last and 12th 5-year plan, skill development and placement in jobs are emphasized, and the work has already been done for this agriculture-based or rural industry. Then now we can discuss factors responsible for limited growth of this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship means subsidy and target-oriented programs encourage people to somehow avail the subsidy, and the enterprise could not sustain for long. Means the people are only thinking about how I can avail this subsidy, and they are not bothering about their industry or their venture is running or not. So this is a factor that is responsible for limited growth of this sector. Second one is technology developed at faster rate and the rural people could not get the benefits. This at present time there are different types of technology available, and day to day new technologies is coming, and the rural pupils are not aware about this new technology. So they are working with the old technology. This is also a factor that is responsible for limited growth. And the electronic media diverted the attention of youth from enterprise to wage employment or job for easy life. It also promoted migration. This is a real thing. And the limited infrastructure expenditure was concentrated to urban area as private investment was not allowed. It is also a factor that is responsible for small growth or limited growth in this sector. And the last one may be the image of rural enterprises was limited to khadi cloth, achar, murabba, or kachi ghani oil. And means when we are discussing about agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, then one can think about, oh, you are doing khadi cloth business, you are doing achar and murabba business, and you are doing only kacha ghani oil business. So, which resulted in rural areas becoming source of raw material only. Then, how to move forward? As I discussed about past and problems. So, but future of rural industries is bright. How? The growing concern about environmental degradation and reducing carbon emission opens a floodgate of opportunities for rural industries, low technology, low energy intensive, and natural products. So, if these all facilities are available in our rural areas, then our rural industry's future is bright. If increasing interest in organic products, chemical-free cosmetics, and vegetable dye, etc., can open a floodgate of opportunities for rural industries. At present time, each human being is want to consume only organic products. Ladies want to chemical-free cosmetics, and for this coloring material means dye, we are using vegetable dyes. So these are the major factors that can open a floodgate of opportunity in this rural industry. As we know, export of small items from tools of school bags has boosted Chinese economy and made it a world leader in economy development. Now it's our turn. Means, as we know, our Indian government has banned all Chinese items, but we Indians are habitual with this Chinese products. So when these Chinese items has already been banned, then now it's our turn. Our Indian industry, our rural industry may be a bright future. The option sources of finance and technologies available to youth for starting new enterprises are easily available in our country, and government has already started many types of schemes, many types of startups. So this will definitely boost the rural industry. As and when a person decides to start an enterprise, she or he has choose to take up any of the following. If one should want to start his or her industry, then he or he should choose manufacturing or processing, trading, retail, sales, distribution, service sector, contracting, combination of above activities, and many more are available in our country. Now, what types of ownership patterns are available in our country for this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship? First one is individual ownership. Second one is partnership or private limited company. Third one is cooperatives. And next is group ownership, means includes NGOs, BOs, and jointly livelihood groups. The groups like self-help groups do not have formal structure, but they can run an enterprise and also eligible for bank finance. The choice of ownership pattern will depend on the type of business activity and recruitment of manpower or money required for this particular enterprise. However, in case of trading, the best structure is individual ownership. Now, proprietorship or individual owned enterprise, I think it is already 11:115, so I should move fast. Okay, now partnership. Partnership can have maximum 20% as partners working together for common goal and objective. Means for a agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, one can use as a partnership, and these firms are governed by Indian Partnership Act 1932. The partners can take advantage of best ability of each other and pool the resources of enterprise. The partnership fail when the duties and responsibilities of partners are not clearly defined. It is always better to have a written agreement to avoid any legal issues later on. Means a group of 20 or more persons want to start a business in this agriculture sector, then they have to start this business under partnership. Next one is private limited company. It is a limited company. The private limited companies can have 2 to 50 shareholders. The ability of the shareholders is limited in this case, as the personal assets are separate from the assets of the shareholders. The promoters of public limited companies have better control on day-to-day affairs of the company, and the private limited companies have better access to bank finance. Means if a group want to a big amount from a financial institute, means bank, then they have to go with this private limited company, and then they will start with this good amount of fund that will be available by this bank. So this type of organization is suitable for medium level business. Means for medium level business, this private limited company is best suited. Now NGOs and BOs, a group of 7 or more persons can start non-government organizations for public service and specific objectives. The NGOs are registered under Society Registration Act 1860, and the specific rules and regulations are formulated to manage the day-to-day affairs of NGOs. This non-government organization is a group of 7 or more persons, and that are successfully run in our country, and I think there is a good amount of NGOs are working in our country. The organization can receive government grant or public donations, both types. Means an NGO can collect the money or receive the money from government as well as private firms. And the next one is voluntary organizations are registered under any of the Act, the Indian Act and Society Registration Act. In any act, voluntary organization may be registered, and these organizations are promoted by self-motivated, social service oriented people only. Now this self-help group, from these are formal group of 10 to 20%. This may be men, women, rural youth, farmers, women farmers, anyone from below poverty line family. This is a critical point of this, or important point of this self-help group. The groups are formed for mutual help, and people pool their small savings for mutual benefits on agreed terms. Means a self-help group is working on the each mutual understanding, The groups are eligible for bank finance and can graduate into joint liability group for starting rural enterprise. Various schemes of Government of India and NABARD are available for the self-help groups so that the members can come out of the cycle of poverty. Means in Indian condition, this self-help group is you can say Sanjeevani in Hindi. Means this is a good thing that can use for this poverty, rectifying of this poverty. Then community-based organizations, cooperatives, FPOs. Yeah, this is an important organization. A FPO means Farmers Producer Organization, formed by a group of farm producers, is a registered body under the Indian Companies Act with producers as shareholders in the organization. As our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has already announced that there is a need of establishment of producers organizations, and a huge amount has been already allotted to this purpose. It deals with business activities related to the farm produce, and it works for the benefits of the member producers. Okay. It helps our collectivization of small, marginal and landless farmers in order to give them the collective strength to deal with such issues. So members of FPO will manage their activities together in the organization to get better access to technology, input, finance and market for faster enhancement of their income. At present, I think there are many FPOs are working in our country, and farmers are really benefited with this organization. Now, if one should start their industry or venture, then from where he can gather the idea. The following institutions are dealing with this idea, like MSME, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, different types of startups, KVIC, NABARD, SIDBI, then extension centers and agri-business incubators of agricultural universities are available in these days in our country, and NIDC, NIES, BUD, then technical consultancy organization of the different states, then centers for entrepreneurship development. Now, development commissioner, handicraft and cottage industries, these all are available for the entrepreneurship, giving the entrepreneurship idea as an innovator. Okay. And some institutions are dealing purely in business ideas related to agriculture produce, like ICR and its extension centers like KDK, CFTRI, NIPTEM, IIFT, Indian Institute of Packaging, National Horticulture Board, National Medicinal Plant Board, APIDA, National Institute for Organic Farming, Ghaziabad, National Botanical Research Institute, Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow, then Flavors and Fragrance Development Institute, Kannauj, Uttar Pradesh. These all are available to provide business ideas related to agriculture produce. Now, from where the information may be gathered, so similar enterprise in areas and its availability of raw materials means nearby areas are available. Now, technology or know-how, then availability of labor and skilled persons, now marketing channels and related government policies, promotional schemes and different any other startups, then prospective buyers and demand pattern, etc. So from this type of once a person decides to start a business, he or she gathers certain information related to business, whether external finances involved or not. So these all types of 5 or 6 informations are should gathered from different places to start a business. This is a project report. Means project report is a report you are starting a business. When you are starting a business, then you have to prepare a project proposal, okay, to establish. So he or she will have to make a project report even if institutional finance is not involved. Still, they have to prepare a project report, and this project report helps the person to take objective decisions and also compare the data at the time of planning and actual implementation. So this is the importance of this project report. These are few points of that project report: name of the entrepreneur and nature of the enterprise. This is part of that report. The demand for the item, plant capacity and production schedule. Third one is source of raw material, present cost on and approximate quantity required. Fourth one, technology and skill required, including cost, manpower, cost of building, recurring expenditure, financial requirement required, and financial appraisal showing viability of the project by methods such as IIR and BCR, etc. So these are the points; those are important and covered by this project report. Then source of finance, different types of banks are available, like commercial bank, cooperative banks, agricultural development bank, regional rural banks, state industrial development corporation of various states. Non-banking finance companies are also available for funding of a good quality of project proposal. Then legal requirements, though the household and cottage industries do not require any registration, still the small scale industries require registration with district industrial corporation. So this registration with trade tax, service tax, etc., it also required depending on nature of work. And at present time, GST registration is also important. In case the enterprise can classify it as industry, the following laws are also applicable. The first one is Factories Act, and the second one is Industrial Dispute Act. The following laws are applicable even if the enterprise is not classified as industry. Means if you are going to establish a small industry, then these few points or acts laws are available, so that should be followed. Now, the next step in this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship is marketing. Without marketing, whatever you have produced, there is no meaning of that product. So marketing of rural produces prime concern for the rural entrepreneurs. The rural areas act as a market for the person choosing service industry or trading business. And however, the urban areas and other villages act as a market for the manufacturing or producing enterprise. Some of the rural products even have a market. So marketing through retail outlets of KBC may also be used. Now, for marketing, participating in Mela, Haat or exhibition, direct sales to wholesalers and exporters. This may also be done. Then direct sales to industries in advanced processing field like Ayurvedic medicine. If someone has produced medicinal plant or organic products, then they may directly sell their products to Ayurvedic medicines or industry. Then marketing through cooperative marketing system like Amul. Okay. Then online marketing. At present time, there are different types of marketing available, but most of the in this Corona era period, this online marketing has a successful marketing system. So there are different types of marketing like direct marketing, weekly market, urban areas, taking surplus contracts from bulk buyer, likely army and different hostels. This is the picture of traditional and developed market. In traditional market, we can see there is a different type of market, and in present developed market, there is a systematic developed market. And for this successful running of the this industry, there is a need of different types of training and skill development. So in India, there are specific training institutes, different organizations. Those are engaged to train the rural youth or rural people, like CMAP for medicinal plant, NBRI for floriculture, CFTRI for food processing, National Institute of Rural Development for Rural Technology Related Projects, Hyderabad. NABARD is sponsoring various skill training programs through non-government organizations. So these all types, many other types of these training centers are running in our country. This picture is showing training of the rural entrepreneurs. Now, what basic infrastructure should be available at the enterprise site or processing site? The minimum requirements are indicated like all-weather roads. All-weather roads means the roads should be there should be roads should be like they are not disturbed in other weather, means in rainy season, in winter season, in summer season, the roads should be clear and good condition. And the supply of electricity is also a good and important thing, and this comes in infrastructure, because without electricity at present time, each or maximum operation in the any type of industry has been done with this electricity, and good quality water supply is also an important infrastructure point, and telecommunication, banking and medical facilities should be available at the site of the industry, and this is known as basic infrastructure. Now, opportunities for rural entrepreneurship. The agriculture has a vast scope, and there are tremendous numbers of fields available for this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, like agriculture, farming, organic fertilizer, fertilizer distribution, and so on. Agriculture-based enterprises like organic farming and floriculture, high-tech agriculture, medicinal plant, Ayurvedic drug, aromatic plants, commercial forestry. There are number of things are available in our agriculture, and this is the picture you can see. Medicinal plant and spices, those are collected from our agricultural field. Then food processing and agro-based industry. So this type of food products are can prepared in the small industry or rural industry or cottage industry. Then different types of farm inputs may be produced, like seed, sapling, vermicompost, pesticide, insecticide. Now, animal husbandry based enterprise like dairy, poultry, piggery, and piggery, goatry, and this residue of dead animals. It is also a type. This is also maybe a type of business. Then sericulture and apiculture, aquaculture, traditional handicraft. This is also an agriculture-based business, like this woven baskets and different types of clothes. Okay. Now, handloom, power loom, and khadi. This khadi charkha to ready-made. This is a good concept if we are using this khadi and sale as a ready-made items. And edible oils like soybean oil, peanut oil, means groundnut oil, mustard oil, coconut oil. We all are using edible oils in our daily life, and this has a good scope established as a rural industry. Service sector. Service sectors means each of all different types of this mechanics training, repair and maintenance of agriculture implements, and other things that can use as a small unit that may be created as employment. Now, then trading and contracting, and demand for fast moving consumer goods are also available in these rural areas. Okay, so trading and contracting is also be a good scope as a business. Now, rural technology. In India, there are different types or many types of rural technologies are available. This rural directory has been prepared by the National Institute of Rural Development, Hyderabad, and in this directory, the possible rural technologies are published for the help of this rural agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship. Now, this provision of urban amenities, rural areas, and rural enterprises. These all are already helping this rural entrepreneurs. And problem faced by the rural entrepreneurs, there are many types of problems like financial problem, marketing problem, management problem, human resource problem, and other problems. And these are the challenges and policy implications for development of rural enterprise. There are different types of challenges available and faced by this sector. Challenges faced by rural entrepreneurs, policy, like growth of mall culture, as we are all are seeing, and different small teeny urban areas there are small mall has started. Means traditional markets is uh, disappear day by day, and mall culture has been started. So it is a basic problem. Then poor assistance, then power failure, lack of technical know-how, capacity utilization, infrastructure skill, sickness, and many other things are that is known as challenges for the rural entrepreneurship. Now, policy implications for development of rural entrepreneurship. So there are different types of policy, like policy should be flexible to facilitate local circumstances. The nature of enterprise to be established in rural areas must be conducive to those areas in economic, social, and environmental terms. Rural enterprise policy should cover all types of rural enterprise. There should be consistency and coordination with respect to the choose of enterprise location. So these are the policy implications, and I have few suggestions for betterment of this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, like labor-intensive techniques to be adopted, educate the rural entrepreneur, offer finance with low rate of interest, and there should be some government role, there should be some SWOT analysis, and OPS opportunities, problem identification and solution approach should be adopted. Means there are many suggestions, but as I am seeing in my watch, there are 12:12 p.m. Means I'm shortcut this thing. Now, way ahead. If we want to go ahead with the success of this agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, then the present-day problem of rural India cannot be solved without reducing the dependence of rural population on agriculture income alone. It is I can say, universal truth. Okay. So, since migration to urban area is not feasible, rural industries alone can help us. If we establish government establish the rural-based industries, then the migration should be decreased, and we can generate self-employment at that rural level. We have to list the low technology, high labor intensive products being imported. As and when required, good technology, low technology should be applied at that rural or in the cottage industry level, agriculture based rural entrepreneurship, then only that sector has will be flourished. As a first step, the product can be introduced to rural entrepreneurs. People will be willing to pay high cost if the quality is good. As you know, organic products are already having a good price. So if the rural industries are produce good quality products, then people will definitely ready to pay the high cost or maximum price. Then food processing may be second steps toward rural industrialization, because maximum raw materials is coming from these rural areas, and hence this food processing sectors may be second steps toward rural industrialization. Now, last slide for conclusion of my talk. As I discussed, and you may gain that establishing a rural enterprise is need of ours. Okay. The opportunities are tremendous, but takers are few. In our country, there are tremendous opportunities are available, but the takers means person who came forward, they are in few numbers. Reason is lack of infrastructure and awareness, because in our country infrastructure availability is less and people are not aware about the benefit of this agriculture based rural industries or rural entrepreneurship. The media has spread the glamour of urban life and speeded up the process of migration. In media means in electronic media, in print media, in social media, in television, in films, each and everywhere the urban life is showing like a heaven, and people are eager to migrate from this rural areas to that heaven place means urban area. But the actual condition is this: the urban areas are like hell. The people came from rural areas, and if you see their living standard in this urban areas, then you can say this is not a heaven. This is excuse me. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Pardon. Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, time हो गया.
Okay, okay. I am signing up. I am signing up. Oh, give me only 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, coordinated efforts of various agencies are required to achieve the goal of rural industrialization, and agriculture-based entrepreneurship are future of rural community. This has a great scope for rural development. Means rural entrepreneurship is the way of converting developing country into developed country. Means if one can discuss or think about the rural agriculture-based rural entrepreneurship, then he will establish this cottage industry or the industry. Then definitely he will provide the employment of that area, and this employment will increase the GDP of our country, and our country may be convert in developed country from developing country. Thank you. If you have any query, then I feel happy to answer.
Participants, if you have any questions, please ask the sir. Any questions? I think there are no questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, on behalf of NADCL, organizing community, on the behalf of participants. Thank you, sir. It was really a nice presentation. Thank you. We may leave now.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank you also. I think you are Jannat. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think you are Jannat. I am thankful to you also and NADSL. So thanks for providing me this opportunity and interact with your